How you doing?
Great, thank you. How about you?
Good, thanks for asking.
Good. How's your week?
Good. Lots of stuff going on. This cold weather's not doing very good for me, but
Yeah.
besides that, we're getting through it.
I hope you're dressing appropriately for the weather.
Trying to, man. Been wrapped up. I feel like I'm going. I can finally use all my winter clothes down here. It's kind of nice actually, but I don't like that. I need it to start getting warmer as soon as possible.
Yeah, probably give it a few more weeks and we should get there.
Wow. I hope so.
So, Mike, can you please tell me about one story or experience that you had in high school that affects who you are today?
Sure. Where do I start? I think there's a lot I could tell you. I mean, off the top of my head. So I played. Well, I guess for context, I grew up in Washington. Went to high school up there. Now I moved down here, but I played lacrosse in high school actually. So I started playing in like middle school, maybe late elementary school. I don't know exactly when I started playing, but I remember going up to high school level and started playing. We had tryouts, which I never had before for sports or anything like that. So we're all doing tryouts for the team. I want to say there's probably about 60 or 70 of us going out there who were trying out for junior varsity and varsity. And I'm a freshman. I wasn't anything special, so I was kind of just like, let's just make the team and we'll figure out what's going on with that. But tryouts were over, I think 3 or 4 days, basically just practices, but the coaches are watching everyone and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So second day of practice starts. Our goalies are warming up. We're all doing our laps and stretching, and then we hear their goalie, who was also a freshman, like scream. We're like, what happened over there? So it turns out he broke his thumb, so he couldn't play anymore. So the coach says, okay, well, we need someone else to try out for goalie. We need a goalie for the JV team, because that was the only other goalie we had was that guy who broke his thumb. So me being the little, what was I at that time, 14, 15-year-old freshman in high school, I was like, oh, I'll go do it. Get some brownie points with the coach and, show the team that I care and like I'll adapt and whatnot. So I was like, oh, I'll do it, coach, put me in. So I started doing that the rest of tryouts. Somehow, I guess, they kind of had to give me a spot on the team because there's no other goalies. But so I started doing that, and what I found, it was really interesting. I really didn't like playing goalie. The position I played before it's called tack.
Yeah.
It's basically like a forward in soccer. I'm not sure if you're super familiar with soccer,
yeah.
But it's basically like a forward in soccer where like you're playing offense all the time and you're being like aggressive and all this stuff.
Right.
Where goalie, you're kind of just sitting there.
Yeah.
Half the game, the ball's on the other side of the field, so you're not doing anything. So what I found over that season was I wasn't running as much because I'm sitting there just in a goal.
Yeah.
I wasn't having fun as much, and it kind of started to put me on this weird path where I started gaining weight. I wasn't enjoying the sport anymore.
Yeah.
It kind of took its toll on me overall.
Wow.
And kind of, I don't want to say like I was depressed, but it was definitely like my life wasn't what I thought it would be at freshman year of high school.
Right.
So, end of that season, got through it. Had a few altercations with some teammates about stuff, being like, I'm not playing this position anymore, someone else needs to do it. Which I think, looking back on it, I volunteered for it. Probably should have stuck with it more, but I did finish the season out playing the position, so I did what I volunteered to do. But I disliked it so much the next year I stopped playing, actually. Okay. So I quit. And kind of that same thing happened. Wasn't really working out or doing anything active, so just gained a bunch of weight. And then junior year of high school, I think this is something that has always helped me hold faith, and it's kind of one of the first things I remember where it's like a sign of God or an action of God or something like that. But I was getting Starbucks or something 20 miles, I grew up with them, but we weren't in where I lived, like that town, we were in some other town, and I ran back into the coach of the high school team at this random Starbucks 30 minutes away from where we live. And he's like, oh Mike, how you doing? And he's talking, and he's catching up like nothing, like I never even quit. I never took a day off, whatever. And he's like, man, we miss you. The whole team always asks like where you are, why aren't you playing anymore, all this kind of stuff. And so I told him, we kind of talked about this whole story about like I can't do playing goalie anymore. I can't do that. It's just I know I like volunteered to do it for the team, but it's just not for me anymore. And he was like, you know what, man, like if you want to come back, we'd love to have you back. I won't make you play goalie anymore. He's like, and we'll have fun. We'll get going again. And I was like, thinking about it and how much I missed that kind of part of my life of like all the guys in the team that I was friends with, and having something outside of school. I think when you're a young guy, especially, it's like having that sport that's like physical and and it's like builds up your grit and all that kind of stuff. I think it's so powerful for a young man to have that kind of experience. So I actually decided to go back, and it was hard to get back in shape. I remember the first 3 practices we did so much conditioning, I was throwing up on the sideline and all that kind of stuff. But I ended up doing it, and it really taught me a lot, kind of about sticking to something, and even if you veer off a path for a little bit, that path's still there. You can always go back to it. I think that's been a thing my entire life that I've learned now is I think I'm in grad school now, and thankfully I decided to go into it right away. But in the back of my mind, I always knew like if I wanted to take a little break from undergrad to grad school, I could. Grad school's not going anywhere. Same with that team. And so interestingly enough, I went through that team, played junior year. I actually made varsity by the end of the year, which was pretty fun, pretty cool experience. And then senior year, was going into season, trying to be a captain for varsity and all this stuff, and then COVID hit. So COVID derailed our whole season, like 2 weeks into it. That was a whole thing. But that actually led me to start looking at travel teams. So lacrosse is kind of weird on the West Coast because it's not like a football in the South where it's like all these schools know each other and all that. Lacrosse is a little bit smaller up there.
Right.
So there's travel teams where go play a tournament in Colorado or California or Oregon or wherever. So I did that, tried out for that, and one of my buddies from that high school team was on that team as well. So we traveled around. It's really interesting thing about that too. But we traveled around. I got a couple college looks from a bunch of schools on the East Coast. So that kind of was like an eye opener to me. I think as a senior year of high school, where I still didn't really know what I wanted to go for school for, or what I wanted to do, and lacrosse kind of opened all these doors for me now, where I'm like, I can go to school here. I can do this. That's awesome. So I went and toured all those places. I actually didn't end up liking any of them because a lot of them were, kind of like small, old private schools on the East Coast. Which I don't know if you've been up. You're from New York.
Yeah.
You know some of them up there where you have like a 2,500 person school, and it's just like this tiny school. It looks like it was built in the 1800s.
Yeah.
A lot of schools were like that.
Yeah.
So I decided not to go there. And I actually looked at a school down in California called Chapman University. When I was touring there, my mom was we were at a convention in Anaheim, so we drove up and we went to there and toured it. Their lacrosse team was practicing the day that we toured, just randomly, I guess. So I saw their team and I was like, oh, they have lacrosse here. I didn't know they have lacrosse here. So I went up on the field, talked to the coach for a bit. He's like, oh yeah, we're a club sport, so there's no pressure, there's no real scouting stuff where it's like you have to make like a Division II roster or anything like that. So you kind of just if you want to come play, you come play. And I was like, I want to go here. So funnily enough, that coming back in that interaction from high school, me and my coach in that Starbucks ended up to me choosing where I was going to go to college. And even funnier, that travel team I was on with my buddy from high school, there was a kid on that team called, his name was Ronan, or is Ronan, I guess. He actually ended up going to Chapman too, and we played lacrosse there together. We were roommates for 2.5 years. We were in the same fraternity, all that stuff. But I didn't know him when we were on the travel team. We just met at college, and then we were like, wait a minute, we played together in high school. So I think that's probably the craziest story for me that has all the intertwining stuff. There's a ton of lessons in there that I've taken where, the Lord's going to put you on a path. You don't know where it's going to lead, but you kind of just have to follow that path. I think that's a huge thing that I've learned. And just searching for what you want to do. I think that's something. I think that's something that I have that I don't think a lot of people my age have. Is that you can tell me what you want me to do or what I should be doing, and I'm not going to listen a lot of the time because I'm going to find what I want to do, and that's just how I am.
Right.
I think that's kind of how that has impacted me. It's just looking for what I want.
Yeah. Right. Your own path.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when your coach met you at the Starbucks, I think it was your junior year?
It was like before junior. I'm all blurry.
Around there.
But it was like
before
sophomore, junior year.
Okay.
In between there, yeah.
When he communicated your worth and value to the team, how did that make you feel at the time?
It's a good question. It was like I said. When I quit lacrosse, I was kind of at a low point in my life, I think, where I mean, I had friends in high school who I've had since elementary school and all this stuff, but I didn't really have the best grades or there's something I was really working towards outside of just like homework, kind of busy work, I guess. So I think hearing that from him was like, and it's the same thing I think with how lacrosse opened up colleges for me. It flicked a switch in my brain where it was like, I can see outside myself more, and it's not about me as much. Or I mean, I wouldn't say that's not about me. Not saying things about me, but it's like I can see that people have value in me more.
Yeah.
And at that, or at least I understood how meaningful it was that people put value in me. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it was huge. I mean, that coach, he's retired now, but he's got 2 kids now. He gave birth to twins, I think, my senior year of high school, and we got to go meet his kids and all this stuff. He's an awesome coach. Was kind of like a Marine guy. Wasn't Marine, but he was kind of, that's how he acted, kind of. And we had a lot of practices where we were just doing sprints for an hour straight and all this stuff. But he taught me a lot about mental toughness and how to be a man and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also how to lean on people. I think that too.
Wow. Teamwork.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So how do you think your experience with lacrosse has led you to decide to major in psychology today?
I don't think it's a non-factor. I think it definitely has its piece of the puzzle. I think the thing that kind of draws me the most to psychology is that it's all about abstract thought and critical thinking. I mean, okay, I'll tie it in. It might take a little bit, but I'll tie it in. It's something with like the whole like I need to follow my own path kind of thing. And this is the thing. So when I went to college, my first 2 years I was in business, and then I got up to like business calc and statistics and all this other stuff. And what I hated the most of anything in the entire world was you get to a problem on a test and you forgot that one equation that you need to know to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you can solve that problem without that equation.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about psychology. You don't need an equation to help someone, to talk to someone and help them understand themselves. There's no blueprint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no fallback. I mean, sure, there's some stuff where you need to know what you're doing, but it's not as cut and dry. You know what I mean?
Right. There's room for flexibility and creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Creativity. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I learned again from playing lacrosse and the teamwork stuff. And I think with my faith too is like there's no path that you're set on, or at least you don't know the path you're set on. It's gonna curve. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. It's gonna go all over the place.
Yeah.
And you have to be flexible and creative with how you respond back to that kind of that movement.
Wow.
And that's I think how psychology kind of feels to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think the self-realization of you being a goalie and not having fun because you're not moving?
Yeah.
How do you think that self-realization has impacted you today?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. I think first it's kind of taught me a lot of where my threshold of what would the word even be? My threshold of like doing something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And how to manage that. I mean, like I started this job recently where there's a lot of things where I don't want to do, but I understand from those past experiences they have to get done, and someone has to do them, and I volunteered to do them, so I'm going to do them, even if it's not fun. And I think that I understand that side of it, but I also understand the point where it's, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not doing this. I think that bleeds over into everything. I think the relationships, into your career, I think into just everything in personal life too is, the more you do something that you don't want to do, it's going to build your character until you get over that tipping point, and then it's going to break you.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you have to learn to manage. So I think that's a big thing.
That is excellent, Mike.
Yeah.
It sounds like lacrosse has been an excellent life tutelage for you.
Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it. I wish I could have played further. How much time we have?
Actually, this is a good stopping point, and thank you so much for meeting with you.
Thanks for meeting with me. Yeah, of course, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
God bless you, Mike.
You as well. Thank you.
That's way more fun being on this side. That felt like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I want to keep talking.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that was good.